The Civil War happens between the Northern Union and the Southern Confederation of Patria. The Northern Union attempts to attack a fortified stronghold held by the Southern Confederacy. After taking heavy casualties, the North unleashes a unit of shape-shifting soldiers called Incarnates, who transforms into mythical beasts to destroy the enemy base. The Incarnates are led by Hank and his childhood friends Kane and Elaine. Elaine is a human scientist who created the Incarnates. The Incarnates help North achieve victory after victory, but every time they shapeshift into beasts, it becomes a little harder to return to their human forms. Eventually, tragedy strikes after one battle, when an Incarnate goes out of control, indiscriminately attacking allies and enemies. The Incarnate is half dead by Union troops and takes his own life. Hank commands his unit to swear to put down any of their comrades who lose their humanity. As the Incarnates prepare to strike the final blow against the capital of the South, Elaine pulls Hank aside and tells him the North and South are already negotiating a peace treaty. She then shoots Hank with a special God-killer bullet designed to destroy Incarnates, saying she cannot return the Incarnates to human and they will eventually all become beasts. The only way to save them is to kill them before that happens. She hands her gun to her co-conspirator, Kane, to help her eliminate the rest of the squad before committing suicide. But Kane shoots her instead, unwilling to give up his powers. 2 years after, Hank wakes up from a coma in Union territory, where a Northern intelligence agent named Lisa tells him Kane and the surviving Incarnates spread out across the continent, wreaking havoc in their beast forms. Hank swears a complete oath to destroy the Incarnates and begin his new mission as a beast hunter. Episode 2. John William Bancroft runs an orphanage in a small village with his daughter, Shao. The village and the orphanage is very poor. Union soldiers draft John one day, and he willingly goes as the government promised to give money to the orphanage and town, which would help everyone. Shao promises she'll be here when he returns. He eventually does after the war, but is trapped in his incarnate form. Everyone accepts her father back anyways. After a while, he began to scream in the middle of the night, troubling the villagers, and cows began to turn up dead. The orphans are taken away for their own safety. Shao refuses to believe that her father is behind it. That night, she wakes up hearing gunfire and runs towards it, and finds her father lying dead and Hank standing over him. Hank shoots Will, then walks away, leaving Shao to grieve at the unprovoked murder. Vowing revenge, she takes Will's elephant hunting rifle and leaves to track Hank. When she catches up with him in a town, she shoots him, but a normal bullet can't kill him. Hank asks who she is, and Shao tells him that she is Will's daughter. An incarnate, Danny, suddenly returns to the town, and Hank approaches to kill him. Shao defends Danny, as there is no proof that he has done anything wrong, but Danny admits that he has been killing anyone he finds. He then attacks Shao, but Hank kills him. When Hank starts to walk away, Shao asks if he's going to kill more of his comrades. He tells her of the oath that he has made. Shao then decides to accompany Hank. Episode 3. Shao and Hank arrive at Rogue Hill, where another incarnate has built a massive labyrinth fortress. Lisa meets them. She tells them that the fortress was made by the Minotaur, who began making it after returning from the war, and still builds it, tearing down the city to do so. Shao asks if they are going to kill him, when the Minotaur steps onto the balcony and declares to the city the time of war is night. Unable to accept the war is over, Lisa takes her to a tent refugee camp where the people who lost their homes due to the Minotaur's fortress now live. That night, Hank and Shao enter the fortress. Shao is frightened when she sees multiple dead men killed by booby traps. Hank remembers how Theo, the Minotaur, was scared of dying until Hank inspired him to fight. Hank successfully ditches Shao when he makes a portcullis fall between them. Lisa, who had followed, comes to take Shao back. Shao refuses and Lisa helps her to open the barrier. Hanks arrive at the heart of the labyrinth, where Theo greets him, having become drastically paranoid that he will be killed by the enemy. Hank says that he is the enemy, and they fight. Hank is wounded when he falls through the floor. Shao arrives to beg Theo to stop in vain. Theo swings his axe, but Hank catches it. Lisa explains that Hank reveals his true power at night, as he shapeshifts into a werewolf. Theo says his fear doesn't end no matter how big a fortress he builds, so Hank ends it for him by striking him down with his claws. Hank shoots him, saying Theo can finally rest, and Shao does not call out for him to stop. Captain Claude, leader of the Incarnate Extermination Squad, Coup de Grace, parades down the streets of the Union capital with his unit. A dead Incarnate lies on the wagon they pull. The people cheer for them while the Union's president watches. Kane is shown with a white-haired girl, looking at a picture of Hank and Shao. Episode 4. Shao and Hank ride a train taking them into South Patria. They approach a massive iron bridge that links north and south. Lisa stops the train and tells Hank that the behemoth is nearby. Behemoth is heading east to the iron bridge. The military enacts a plan for Hank to stop Behemoth. While the military fruitlessly pummels it with cannonballs, Hank attacks the joints of its leg, bringing it down. Lisa tells Shao that Behemoth hasn't hurt anyone, so he likely has some humanity left. The railway president comes, demanding to know why they haven't killed Behemoth. He dismisses their plan to use dynamite to fill in the valley ahead of Behemoth, saying that they should use the dynamite on the beast, and leaves angrily. Shao asks if there's a way to help Behemoth get past the bridge, but Hank tells her that they are here to kill him. That night, men from the railway knock out the military guards and try to blow up Behemoth. Enraged, Behemoth kills them and approaches the bridge. Though Hank manages to knock it over, Behemoth is buried when part of the cliffside is blown up and then dynamite in the debris is detonated. The force of the explosion has no escape route and tears open Behemoth's chest. Behemoth keeps going, but Shao begs him to stop, and Hank does the same. An explosion past the bridge blows up the canyon's wall, allowing Behemoth to see the ocean. Tears run down Behemoth's eyes as he finally collapses. When they return to the camp, Lisa tells them that she received a report that Kane had been found in White Church. In White Church, 2 prostitutes approach Kane, but he bites one, and she then tears out the throat of the other prostitute. Episode 5. Hank, Shao, and Lisa arrive at White Church. That night, Shao, seeing Hank's jacket still has a hole. The next day, Lisa takes them to a woman who was killed. Hank recognizes that she was killed by Topher, not Kane. A young boy named Andy, who saw the murder, confirms it. Hank remembers how Topher's sense of justice and boundless will in defeating the Confederacy helped to keep the rest of the unit going in the war. He eventually runs off, and Shao goes after him. Lisa leaves to handle other orders. After Shao tells Andy that she's an orphan and she thinks that the incarnates are still human, Andy walks off, stealing an apple. After seeing the scars on his arm when she grabs his sleeves, Andy tells her that Gargoyle killed his mother. Gargoyle appears in front of them suddenly, saying Andy will pay for his crimes with his life. Gargoyle leaps at the two, and Shao finds herself unable to shoot him, though Hank appears and tackles him. After damaging one of Gargoyle's wings with a God-Killer bullet, Gargoyle backs away, telling his captain he has betrayed justice and he will wait for him at an abandoned church. Hank is left wounded from the skirmish. At the church that night, Kane approaches Gargoyle. After failing to tempt him to simply kill every human in the area, Kane gives him a God-Killer bullet and leaves. After Hank leaves, Shao realizes her rifle is gone and that Andy must have taken it to kill Gargoyle. Hank enters the church and manages to pin Gargoyle. However, Gargoyle shoots him in the stomach with a God-Killer bullet. Andy arrives but misses his shot and is knocked aside. Shao puts herself between Andy and Gargoyle, begging Topher to stop in vain. Hank pulls out the bullet and attacks Gargoyle from behind, shoving his hand through the latter's chest before executing him. Hank drops to his knees from his wounds, and Shao is captured in threads from the spider incarnate when she tries to run to him. She is then knocked out by the spider's venom. Kane approaches Hank, inviting him to a party tomorrow night, promising that he'll give Shao back if he comes. Hank weakly calls after Kane before falling unconscious. Episode 6. Hank wakes up back at the hotel. He follows the invitation to a nobleman's manor. Meanwhile, Claude examines the nobleman and his wife as having been killed by Kane and heads to their manor. In the manor, there is a large number of well-dressed humans who had their wealth taken due to the war. Kane addresses the group from an upper landing, saying that the incarnates were likewise made by Northerners' greed for victory, and then cast aside and order them to be exterminated. The Southerners applaud Kane. A large group of incarnates come out, but begin to massacre the guests as Kane claims he no longer has a use for the humans. Hank begins to fight them, until Kane addresses him. He states that the incarnates had not lost their humanity. Selfish humans were not something to protect, and Cain intends to remove the obstacles that will stop the incarnates. Coup de Grace invades the manor as Hank goes to fight, and they kill several incarnates. Claude confronts Cain, who taunts his younger brother. The incarnates leap to Cain's defense, and Claude finds himself outnumbered and saved by Hank. Claude shoots Cain from afar, and Hank closes in and impales him with a spear, the explosive in it detonating. The upper half of Cain's body is eviscerated, but fully regenerates seconds later. Cain asks Hank to join him and brings out Shao when Hank refuses, stating that he will kill Shao and take away what is holding back Hank. Hank is unable to prevent her from being shot and watches her fall. He goes berserk and transforms into a massive luminescent wolf, large enough to crush other incarnates under his foot. He leaps to the town of Whitechurch and lands amid the buildings. Afterwards, Claude wakes up in a military hospital. He approaches Whitechurch and is shocked to see a massive ravine has been cut down the middle of the city, made by Hank. Both he and Cain have vanished. Episode 7. The news of Whitechurch destruction shocked Patria. 2 weeks later, Cain declared the land west of Patria separate by a mountain range, independent of the motherland, New Patria. The government was concerned that the remaining incarnates were allied with the rebels, and all were ordered to be executed. War drew near. Shao returns home. She woke up to learn Hank had been stripped of his rank, and the military is searching for him. Shao walks into town after visiting her father's grave, and learns that Lisa is here with Coup de Grace to eliminate an incarnate seen in the mountains nearby. Shao receives permission to accompany the squad, as she knows the area. That night they make camp, and Claude apologizes that they weren't able to keep Shao from being shot. Shao learns that he is the son of Patria's president, shortly before the incarnate appears. It turns out to be Shao's father, whose flesh is rotting even as he walks by. The squad is baffled, and Nidhogg has risen from the grave. His life force is too persistent to end. Lisa gives Shao a box of God-killer bullets the next day, just in case. Nidhogg returns that night, but the squad struggles to kill something that is already dead. Nidhogg takes flight, heading to the town. He reaches it before the people are evacuated, and Shao confronts him. Her father first left to protect the town, but he has lost his soul and was trying to harm his house. Understanding why Hank is killing these incarnates, Shao shoots him with the God-killer bullets, emptying the magazine before her father stops. In his last moments, her father regains his sanity and reaches out to Shao. Then his body crumbles away. Shao is glad that she got to say goodbye to her father, but still wonders if the only choice was to execute them. She decides to accompany Coup de Grace, as she wants to find and tell Hank something, and Claude gives her permission to come. Episode 8. The president orders all incarnates exterminated within 3 months. Coup de Grace is at the beach waiting for supplies to come, while Shao stands on the beach. She is drawn by a singing voice to the incarnate siren, Trice, hiding in a cave. A man named Charles orders Shao to leave at gunpoint, but Trice tells him to stop. He berates her for singing as the townfolk could find her. Shao introduces herself and tells of her father. Charles apologizes and says that they must hide Trice as a bounty had been put on her head. Trice recalls her past as a singer, but everything changed with the war. Shao continues to visit her. On her way back one day, Claude warns her of walking alone, as people are so anxious. He wishes that he could leave already and tells Shao that Cain is his older brother and he will take him down. Charles is confronted by several men from the town with rifles, who ask if he's hiding Trice. Charles knocks them away, accidentally starting a fire in the tavern and flees. Trice hears Charles enter and states that she plans to leave. He begs Trice not to hold this against the townfolk. He dies from the wound. Siren goes into town, putting the people in a deep sleep with her singing. Shao declares that this is wrong, and Trice comes to her senses, only for Claude to shoot her. He has stabbed his leg with his knife to break free from her song. She flies to the stage in Charles' bar. Shao arrives and asks Trice to sing, making Trice smile. Coup de Grace men suddenly shoot her down. Trice sings her song one last time before dying, with Shao promising that it was lovely. Afterwards, Coup de Grace prepares to move out. Claude tells Shao that Hank's tracks have been found. Hank kills an incarnate on a snowy mountain, determined to fulfill their oath. He must use explosive as he is too scared of transforming, remembering the destruction he caused as the King of Beasts. The incarnate Garm finds his tracks. Episode 9. Hank collapses in the snow from exhaustion and has a nightmare about the teammates he's killed. He wakes and is confronted by Garm, who quickly disarms and wounds him. Hank uses a grenade for cover and flees. Garm pursues and corners Hank, who won't transform into his incarnate form and collapses. The sun rises and Garm decides to leave Hank until sunset, determined to remind his captain who he really was. Coup de Grace is also in the snowy mountains, hunting Hank. After Claude passes out from a fever, the squad stops at an abandoned fortress to treat him. When Claude awakens later that day, he asks why Shao defends incarnates, who are weapons. She stated they didn't ask for what happened to them, and would have been better if they had humans to support them, like Trice did. She wants a way for the two to live in peace. Gerard, Claude's second, has sent out scouting parties, and now tells Claude that Hank was found with another unidentified incarnate he was fighting with. The squad plans to move out to eliminate both, but Claude is left behind, while Shao and most of the men head out. Hank awakens after nightfall. Garm catches Hank and tells him they are incarnates, not humans. He stabs his claws into Hank, and the pain makes him transform. Garm and Werewolf tear into each other until the sight of blood on his hands makes Hank regain control and return to his human form. Garm beats him, infuriated. He stops, nearly killing him until the coup de grace attack. The fighting leads to part of the cliff to break off, and Hank drops into a crevice. Shao calls out to Hank as he falls into the darkness below. Episode 10. Garm watches Hank fall and flees as Coup de Grace shoots at him. The rest of the squad pursue Garm, who has been wounded by repeated bullets. Garm fights back, eliminating half of the squad before reinforcements from the fortress head out. Hank dreams of Elaine and wakes up with Shao near him, shocked that she is alive as well as relieved. Shao tells him how her father returned from the grave before her and tried to attack the village until she shot him. She thinks she understands how Hank feels when he killed Nidhogg the first time. Hank can't believe she'll forgive him, as he has still been killing his friends who only want to live. Hank asks Shao if she'll kill him now, before he becomes a beast, but she refuses. Garm targets Gerald, who is currently commanding, but Gerald knew he would, and Garm finds himself surrounded. Garm is wounded, but not mortally, and he goes to attack Gerald, only for Claude to appear and hit him with a grenade launcher, which makes him flee. Claude is unable to stand without Lisa's help, and berates Gerald for a suicidal plan. Garm limps beside a river, having lost too much blood, and Hank approaches from the other side of the river. Hank lets Garm approach with a grenade in hand, intending to kill him and himself, only for Shao to run in front of Hank and shoot Garm in the knee, making him collapse. Shao tells him that he is human, and promises she will kill him if he starts to turn into a beast, while he is still human. She empties her gun on Garm, telling Hank he needs to survive as long as possible. He drops his grenade and transforms into his werewolf form as he attacks Garm. Coup de Grace approaches, but Claude tells his squad to wait instead of attacking them. Hank delivers a fatal blow. The two reminisce briefly before Hank shoots him. Hank recalls how Roy was and says he and Shao may have become good friends in another life. Coup de Grace aims their gun at Hank, and Claude addresses Hank, saying that they can finally talk. Episode 11. Patria soldiers find a newly built New Patria fortress at Bold Creek, before being sniped by Miles, the incarnate centaur. 1 week later, a council is held at Patria's capital. With the fortress, New Patria has a straight shot across the central mountains to the capital. The army is assembled to bring down the fortress. Claude interrogates Hank, certain that he is with Kane. He wants to know what Kane is planning and what his brother is thinking, but Hank doesn't know. When the orders come in from the president, Claude agrees as they have more pressing problems. Hank is given a Coup de Grace uniform. They reach the joint camp and meet Colonel Martin Walls. Hank organizes a night raid, as not even Miles can accurately snipe in the dark. Hank draws him into a Coup de Grace ambush, and he is gunned down. Shockingly, Miles gets back up, wounds all healed. Wall comments the following day his men thought they saw a second incarnate fighting Miles, but laughed it off after seeing Claude's unease. Miles bandages a wounded soldier's arm and is thanked by him. Shao and Hank speak at night around a fire, and Hank laughs, showing how much he's opened up. She tells him to come back alive. Patria attacks the New Patria fortress the following day. both sides taking casualties. At sunset, Miles shows himself, inflicting heavy casualties until a tripwire knocks him to the ground, and Hank blows up his arm with his spear. Miles remembers being a battlefield surgeon. He saved wounded soldiers to be sent back to front lines and killed, making him feel there is no point in what he's doing. When he was assigned to be incarnates, he killed enemy soldiers. Miles' arms regrow, and Hank transforms as the sun sets. When the two incarnates clash, Wall tells one of his men to bring out the secret weapon, confusing Claude. Episode 12. Miglieglia resurrects a massive number of corpses from a graveyard for Kane. Wall recognizes Hank's true identity. Hank pins Miles with his own spear and signals the army to fire, and Miles' body begins to disintegrate. Hank realizes they have been surrounded by Wall's secret weapon, the poison of Abby, the Hydra incarnate, turned into a poisonous mist called Alphard. Miles dies due to the poison and is shot by Hank. Kane appears and starts killing soldiers and confronts Wall and Claude. Wall's soldiers try to kill him to no avail, and the ruckus draws Hank back. Kane kills Wall. Claude is about to be taken control of by Kane when Hank appears. Kane reveals the fortress was a diversion while he went to the southern capital and killed the leaders there about to sign an agreement with the North to fight against Kane. Hank and Kane start fighting, and Kane's new ability lets him gain the advantage. Hank loses his beast form as the sun rises. Kane admits that he would like Hank to survive as his friend, asking him to join them again. Hank struggles to stand up, and Shao catches him. Kane remembers his envy towards Elaine, and tries to kill Shao, but Hank forces himself into a version of his werewolf form, and punches Kane in the face. Kane now controls the west and south of New Patria. The president calls for the army to fall back to the capital. As Hank and Shao prepare to leave, Claude and Jorao admit they need Hank to defeat the Incarnates. As they walk, Hank remembers how much Shao has changed since they first met, and Shao also tells him how much he has changed. Hank asks her again if she wants to continue this journey with him, and assures him that she has her own goals and wants to keep her oath towards him. At the end, Kane talks to Elaine's body in a glass container, as he claims the arrival of a new world. But a mysterious voice, on the contrary, "My child, Nightmare arrives from a portal, and claims the arrival of a new world will begin." And that's the end of the show. Like, share, and subscribe if you want more recaps, and hit the bell icon for regular notifications. See you soon.